Hello everybody, it's GirlGotGame, and welcome back to Taisho Alice, where we have one more boy in episode 2 left to do, which is the man wearing a mask with a cheeky grin on his face, former butler. Don't know if he is going to be our butler this time around, but we're going to find out. Don't know if he still has the same accent. I'm assuming he probably will, because otherwise he's going to really throw me for a loop. But before we begin, I would just like to state, for the record, that this boy has not one, not two, not 3, 4, 5, 6 bad endings. He's got 14 bad endings in his route. So I'm going to be walking very delicately across this minefield that is in front of me. And I'm very nervous. Because I'm like, holy, is that like every single option? There's a possibility of a bad ending? I don't know. But we're going to find out. So, glad to have you guys here. We're going to jump into this Man from the Moon. I also will preface this by saying, Kaguya is probably the one story that I have the least amount of familiarity with. Everything else I grew up reading. Kaguya is a very recent story that I read about, but it's really interesting and a great story. So if you haven't read about Kaguya, the Moon Princess, I suggest you read that before this. I probably won't have a lot of theories going into this, so anyone who's more familiar with the story, give me your theories, because I would love to read it. Anyway, I'm delaying the inevitable here. Let's just go. Alright, we'll just jump into the cafe. Delightful. The hot amber liquid rippled in rose-printed porcelain. I could smell citrus in the steam. This was but one of the many cafes in the looking-glass world. Customers came from all over town to enjoy a spot of afternoon tea. A spot of tea, eh?
Excuse me, but could I get the check?
Sure thing! It was one of our regulars. I stopped what I was doing and headed over.
Thanks. The tea was excellent as always. I've tried a lot of cafes around town, but none of them hold a candle to this one.
Glad to hear it. We really appreciate your business. I smiled back at him. My name, Yurika Arisu. Occupation, waitress.
Oh, actually.
When I handed him his change, his eyes lit up. What is it? Tilting my head, I gazed into his eyes. He faltered and glanced away. Ah.
I was just wondering if you had a boyfriend, or...
Cinderella!
Hey, you there, waitress! Let me borrow you for a sec.
I heard a certain someone calling from behind the counter and flinched exaggeratedly in mock surprise. Coming! Sorry, but we'll have to pick this up again some other time. I shot the customer a quick wink. In response, he smiled slightly and raised a hand in farewell. Hi! Oh my goodness, it's been so long since I've seen you. How are you? You called Cinderella? Ouch! After the man left the cafe, I returned to the counter, only to get smacked upside the head with an empty plate. Well, glad some things stay the same.
I told you, when you're on the floor, you address me as Sir.
Yes, sir! I responded cheerfully, and the grumpy-looking man let out a sigh. His name was Cinderella, and he managed the cafe. In other words, he was my boss. Okay. Somewhat similar to Cinderella's route.
I don't mind you getting chatty with the regulars, but don't get too distracted.
Okay, I won't. Normally, Cinderella liked to ditch the cafe and goof off in town, but every now and then he would get bored enough to help me run the store. Eerily similar. He was a fairly handy guy and could master any task you threw at him, but his social skills weren't quite as polished. Yeah, let's put it that way.
Were you just insulting me in your head?
No? I cocked my head cutely.
Whatever. Anyway, see that couple by the window? Once you take their order, you can go on break and...
Just then... I hate your guts! A loud voice rang through the dining area, followed by a slapping sound. Whoa! This is how we're starting? This is how we're starting. Alright. Oof. The source was none other than the very couple Cinderella had just indicated. Do you have anything to say for yourself? The peaceful atmosphere was gone, replaced by sizzling tension. Evidently the woman had struck her boyfriend. He sat there, clutching his cheek and gazing at his bow with a half-smile. Feels like a soap opera. I smell drama.
Well, you're quite lovely when you're angry.
He grinned like a goofball. Naturally, the woman struck him again. This time the impact sent him toppling right out of his chair.
Go!
I'm done with you! We're over! Goodbye forever! And with that, the woman stormed out.
Sheesh, what a harpy.
Cinderella wasn't one to mince his words. Will you approach the man on the floor? I assume if I don't, Wizard's like, hey yo, you should really talk to that guy. Just saying. Yes, I will go approach the man on the floor. Thinking quickly, I pulled out my handkerchief, ran some cold water over it, then hurried over to the fallen man. Excuse me, are you all right, sir? I pressed the cold cloth against his swollen cheek.
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks.
He blinked back at me, his eyes wide as saucers. Then, out of nowhere, he clasped my hand in his.
Blimey, you're one fit bird. Will you go out with me?
I like you already. The gasps! And asked me out on the spot. All around us I could hear the other customers whispering. In response to the sudden confession, you punch him? Turn him down? Or accept? I have no idea. What am I dealing with here? Okay, another ladies guy, potentially. Moves on very quickly, so kind of like an Iki, Yuri type of guy, maybe just from the 2 seconds I've spent with him in this world. I'm trying to think of, like, the story. Because Kaguya had a lot of suitors in the original fairytale, quote unquote. But he's, like, approaching women instead of women approaching him, which is a bit of a twist. I'm gonna go with accept. Sure. Drama.
What?
My response shocked our audience even more.
You know I don't mean going outside, right? I mean go out, as in romantically.
Yes, I understand that.
You mean it? Excellent. I'm chuffed to bits.
Whoa, hold the damn phone! Are you out of your mind? Did I overwork you to the point of insanity?
Get out of here! The next thing I knew, Cinderella walked right up to me and put a hand on my forehead.
No fever?
I'm afraid I'm sound in body and mind, sir.
Are you sure?
As Cinderella stared at me in shock, my new boyfriend pushed himself up onto his feet and gave me a big hug, beaming from ear to ear.
Brilliant! As of today, you're my new girlfriend.
What the? Hey! Get off her, pal!
Well, thanks, Cinderella, for protecting my honor, but... Conscious of the public eye, I gave him a little push and he backed away from me.
So, tell me, what's your name?
It's Yurika.
Yurika! That's a fetching name. Suits you perfectly.
He clasped both of my hands and shook them firmly. Thanks. What about you?
Me? Name's Kaguya, but you can call me whatever pet name you fancy.
I think I'll stick to Kaguya for now.
Well then, Yurika, I think this is the start of a wonderful new relationship.
I look forward to it very much. It was just another day in your average run-of-the-mill cafe. Or so I thought. But through a series of unforeseen events, I ended up with a boyfriend. Spicy.
I can't believe this.
After that one-of-a-kind whirlwind courtship, I went back to work like nothing ever happened. Believe what?
You and him! How long have you known each other? Like 2 minutes? He asked you out the second he laid eyes on you, and you said yes? Talk about speed dating.
What a time saver, am I right? Kaguya was sitting at his table, sipping the tea I made for him with a smile on his face. He noticed me looking at him and waved cheerfully. Okay, well, you're not my butler, at least. Not to be outdone, I waved back. Meanwhile, Cinderella rolled his eyes.
I can maybe understand where he's coming from, but you're indecipherable.
You think so?
You're actually surprised by this.
Well, what's so bad about it?
Is it not blindingly obvious? The pacing is wrong. The whole damn setup is wrong.
Oh yeah? What do you mean, setup?
You know, the order of operations, the emotional arc. You can't just go from 0 to 100 with these things. It takes time. There are steps.
Oh, I see. How very traditionalist of you. He reached out and pinched my cheek.
I don't like your sass, lady.
I'm not trying to be sassy.
That guy thinks he's a lady killer. You can tell from the way he's dressed. He goes through girls like underwear, I guarantee it. You saw it for yourself. 1 minute he gets dumped, and the next he's already moved on to you.
Rubbing my sore cheek, I tilted my head in contemplation. What's so bad about that? If anything, it just means I know for a fact that he's single, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, but...
Look, Cinderella.
What?
I don't approve of you trash-talking some guy you only just met.
Oh, but it's fine if you date him instead.
Getting to know each other is the whole point of dating. You go on dates because you want to know more about them. He scowled at me.
So you're interested in this guy?
I wouldn't agree to it if I wasn't.
Well, if you're fine with it, then I'll let it go. But don't come crying to me, got it?
Why not? Won't you comfort me?
Not on your life! Now go take your lunch break.
Okay, thanks! Be back soon! It's so nice having Cinderella around. I pulled off my apron and headed over to see my new boyfriend. Sorry I took so long.
No problem at all, love. Watching you work, why, the time just flies by.
I mean it.
Glad to hear it.
Feeling peckish?
Am I ever?
Me too. Let's go have ourselves a bite to eat.
Okay.
Oh, but first.
Kaguya knelt down in front of me and offered his hand.
If I might take your hand, Poppet.
And so, hand in hand, we walked down the street. Ooh, this boy's making some strong plays early. Considering I'd only known him for a few hours, this was all happening rather quickly, and I was a bit flustered. I would be too. What do you want to have for lunch, Kaguya?
Oh, I'm fine with anything. What about you?
Good question. The lunch rush had come and gone, but the streets were still brimming with appetizing smells. Fried food, meats, baked goods. As I debated internally, my eyes met Kaguya's and he smiled.
If you're not sure, why don't we just browse through all the shops that look interesting?
Good idea!
If anything catches your fancy, let me know, yeah?
Okay, same goes for you.
I'm fine with whatever you like. When I'm with my favorite girl, I'd rather have what she's having anyhow.
His favorite girl? Already? Jeez, I'm blushing. No matter what?
No matter what.
At this point, it was clear I was going to have to be the one to make the decision. In terms of first date food, I'd usually go with a nice, classy cafe, but I couldn't exactly go to a rival cafe on my lunch break. Perhaps my best bet was a crepe or something in that vein. How about crepes?
Oh, that sounds lovely. Let's find ourselves a crepe stand then.
Okay. Grinning, Kaguya led me by the hand. You seem really happy. His childlike innocence made a simple stroll feel like so much fun.
Of course I am, Poppet. I'm over the moon to have a girlfriend as cute as you.
Over the moon, eh? What's Poppet mean, anyway?
Think of it like sweetheart, or princess if you fancy.
I've never heard it before. Is it some kind of regional slang?
Maybe. Couldn't tell you.
You're not from around here, are you, Kaguya? Are you from a different country?
Is that how I come off?
So you're not, or...? I was merely trying to make small talk. After all, it was the perfect way to learn more about my new boyfriend, as well as a healthy part of any budding relationship. But just then, a delicious fragrance wafted its way over to us. Looking around for the source, I followed my nose and found... kebabs. Yeah, kebabs of all things.
What is it?
Oh, nothing. I turned away from the kebab stand. No matter how good it sounded, there was no way in hell I could eat kebabs on a first date. Besides, I already told Kaguya I wanted crepes. Cute, feminine crepes. I would sooner die than turn to him and ask, hey, can we go with kebabs instead? So I needed to shift my stomach out of meat mode and start thinking about dessert.
Oh! Look, Poppet! I've spotted something tasty. Let's be off!
Whoa! Pulling me by the hand, he led me to the very same kebab stand.
This one? Ah, what a scrummy smell.
Yeah. It was such perfect timing, I didn't quite know how to react. Behind the stand, the man in charge was happily grilling his skewers of meat over a charcoal fire. Ooh, the closer I get, the better it smells.
Say, why don't we forget about the crepes and get kebabs instead?
Huh?
They look good, don't you think? I know I said I'd let you choose, but would you mind terribly?
He tilted his head inquiringly. Oh, no, I don't mind at all. That suits me fine. I gave him a thumbs up. If anything, it's everything I ever wanted and more. In response, Kaguya gave me a thumbs up in kind, tapping his thumb against mine. Cute.
Excellent. Sir, I'd like to order one for each of us. Couples discount if you've got it.
Couples discount? Is there such a thing? With our purchase complete, we paid a visit to the lake. No one else was around, so it was the perfect place for a private moment. Kaguya, let me pay you back for my half.
No, that's all right. A proper gentleman never lets his lady pay. Besides, he already cut me a discount when he saw how cute you were. Shall we sit here?
He spotted a bench on the lakeshore and set his things onto it. Are you sure you don't want me to pay you back?
Yep, no problem. Nothing to feel guilty about.
Okay then. Thanks for treating me.
Of course. You're very welcome.
He patted me on the head.
Now why don't we sit down and have our meal?
Okay.
Oh, just a moment.
Huh? Without warning, he suddenly pulled off his kimono and spread it out on the bench.
Wouldn't want to get your clothes dirty, now would we? Go ahead and sit on my kimono.
What? You don't have to do that, it's just a bench. Besides, I don't want to get your kimono all dirty.
Oh, I don't mind a little dirt. Come have a sit down, all right?
He pulled me down onto the bench on top of his kimono layer. Sorry about this.
Nothing to apologize for. Anyone would do this for their girlfriend, surely.
Would they?
They would indeed. Now just a moment while I get you your meal.
Hmm? He pulled a skewer out of the paper bag and slid each piece of meat off the stick onto a paper plate. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm getting your meat ready for you. Wouldn't want you to have to bite it off with your teeth, or else you'd get sauce on your face. Or do you prefer it that way? If so, you can just take this one.
I feel so pampered. Almost like I'm a real princess.
It's nothing. Any boyfriend would do the same.
I somehow doubt that.
Here you go, Poppet. Now, say aw.
We're doing Say Ah in the first episode? Dang. Wait, what? He held the kebab, or rather, just the meat, up to my mouth.
Say aw.
Ah? After a moment of hesitation, I opened my mouth and took the bite.
How's it taste?
It's divine! My reply came out a bit louder than I meant it to. The meat was delightfully tender, and the juices danced on my tongue as I chewed. The seasoning wasn't too overpowering either. As I savored the meat, Kaguya beamed with satisfaction.
Glad to hear it. You can have my portion too if you fancy.
As he spoke, he slid the pieces of meat from the second skewer. What? Don't you want it?
No. I already ate while I was at your cafe.
Surely the little treats we sell aren't enough of a meal to satisfy a grown man. If memory serves, all he had was a scone and a cup of tea. I'd be starving if I was him. Wait, then why the heck did I suggest crepes of all things?
Despite how I may look, I don't actually have a huge appetite. Here we are. Go on, have some more.
He stabbed a piece of meat onto his fork and held it up to my mouth. I was caught in quite a quandary. Was he actually full? Or was he just offering to be polite? Will you eat Kaguya's share? I mean, I'm enjoying the pampering and the meat, apparently, but... you need to eat too, sir. Yes. Kaguya, do you think I'm some kind of hunger monster? I gave him a withering stare.
Hunger monster?
You've never heard of it? It's a wicked creature that gobbles up everything in sight.
Am I in danger then?
He cocked his head playfully. Oh, yes, I'm afraid so.
Alright then. If it's for you, I don't care a jot. Go on and gobble me up.
We're not doing this again. We're not doing the whole eat me, eat you banter. No, I'm moving away from that on a high-speed train, sir. Okay, so we gotta be playful with this boy. Not give him a weird look, not ignore it. I don't want to actually eat him, so I'm gonna make a sassy retort and hope that... Because I'm picturing play along as her, like, actually nibbling on him, and I think it's a little soon for that, so... I mean, all of this is a little soon anyway, but you know what I'm saying. Oh, come off it, mate! I smacked him lightly. How was that? Did I sound like you?
You certainly did. Well done, Poppet.
Yay! Okay, but all jokes aside, I think we should take this opportunity to eat together.
Right you are.
He retracted his fork. Then something occurred to me. Oh, did you want me to feed you next?
Brilliant. Would you?
Will you feed Kaguya? Yes, I will feed Kaguya. So many choices. I'm so worried. But I'm like, I feel this is kind of innocuous. So we should be, imagine if you refuse to feed Kaguya, he runs off crying. The wizard's like, well, I hope you feel good about yourself. He passed me the fork. I stabbed a piece of meat onto it and held it up to his mouth. Say, ah! How is it?
My god, it's delicious.
I know, right? Our mushy couple quotient was off the charts. Hard to think we were total strangers just a few hours ago. Yeah, you get along extremely well so far.
Here, have some water.
Thanks! Once our meal was finished, Kaguya took the initiative to throw away our trash and buy us some drinks. I offered to go in his place, but he insisted. He really seems to enjoy waiting on me hand and foot. Thank you for always being so considerate, Kaguya.
No problem, really. I'll do it because I like to, that's all.
Afterwards, the two of us stared out at the gently rippling lake. My lunch break was approaching its end, and I knew the time would be better spent having some sort of conversation, but I think we were both in a bit of a food coma. Curiously, I stole a glance at Kaguya's face and profile beside me.
What is it?
How's your cheek? I gingerly touched the pink, swollen spot on his face. Though he didn't let it show, I could tell it must hurt badly.
Has it spoiled my good looks?
I'm afraid so. You really think highly of yourself, huh?
I'm just messing.
I pulled my handkerchief out of my pocket and pressed it against his cheek.
No need to dirty your handkerchief on my account. Or should I buy you a new one?
I don't need a new one, but you should keep this one and use it when you need to. Kaguya cocked his head at me.
You sure I can have it?
Sure, I don't mind. He blinked at me in surprise, the same way he had back when we first met. Then the look in his eyes softened.
In that case, I gratefully accept. Cheers.
His lips curled in a contented grin. You're very welcome. I grinned right back at him.
You're such a good girl.
Well, I'm certainly not a bad girl, but I don't know that I'm especially good either.
You sure about that?
You can never judge a book by its cover. It's not too late to change your mind about me, you know. I smirked mischievously.
I'm afraid I don't plan on it, Poppet. But I suppose you could.
I think it's a little premature for that. I'll need to wait until I know you a bit better.
You muppet! You're supposed to say, not gonna happen, like a proper good girl.
Will you respond like a proper good girl? Yes, because now he's not expecting it? Maybe? Not gonna happen.
Much better.
Just then, Kaguya looked up as though he'd just remembered something.
You're going back to work after this, right, Poppet? Are you alright on time, then?
Oh, crap. And by oh crap, I meant, oh crap! I was having so much fun, I completely lost track of time.
Shall we head back?
Yes, please. Before I could rise to my feet, he offered me a hand.
If I might take your hand, Princess.
Thank you. Oh gosh, the eerie feels in my heart are so fuzzy right now. Gosh, I really do feel like a princess. Hoping to contribute something in return, I reached to take his kimono off the bench and shake it out, but he beat me to the punch there too. He thinks of everything! As he brushed the dust from his clothes, he turned to me.
Oh, here's an idea. What time do you get off work today? Could I wait around until then?
Sure.
I am on my way, honey, have your phone down, never put down, I'm gonna go, here is a kiss.